Hello and welcome back to Music with Mascots. I'm your host, Ron Rutstein. This is Minu the cat. Yeah, she's got a lion cut. All of her fur became matted, and we just had to trim her down back to basics. She's a lot happier since we did that. Today we're going to be doing a little turntable comparison. We've got the Denon DP400 and a slightly older Pro-Ject, I'm not sure the pronunciation there, of the Debut Carbon. This is the older one, not the newer Debut Carbon Evo, but the older style. And price point of the Denon seems to run for a retail of around $500 to $600, depending on where you go. You can get it for less, especially if you're willing to accept a remanufactured unit or an open box unit. The Pro-Ject, I think, was retailing for around $300 to $400 until it was discontinued in favor of the Evo, which is retailing, I think, for around $500. There are some upgrades in the model. Now, just looking at these, there is a very different look to them with the dust covers. The Pro-Ject has a very standard old-fashioned kind of dust cover that's hinged in the back, although it is just on a single piece of metal wire, let's say a heavy gauge wire, that just slides on and off very easily, so you could remove it completely if you wanted to. Whereas the Denon, the whole thing comes off thusly, and it comes with a stand that you put the dust cover on while you're using the turntable, and then when you're done, you lift it up and put it back on like that. This is, for someone who doesn't believe in having the dust cover on at all, this is kind of useful. You just pick it up and take it completely out of the way. For someone who actually uses the dust cover while playing, this is definitely more useful. Personal taste. I have no strong feelings one way or the other. Before I get into pros and cons, let's get into a couple of similarities. For the purposes of this test, the Pro-Ject comes with the 2M red Ortophone cartridge, and I did have another 2M red Ortophone that I put on here so that while I'm doing my sound comparisons, I'm using the same cartridge and through the same system so that my sound comparisons are equal. The Denon comes with a rubber platter mat. The Pro-Ject comes with a felt platter mat. I prefer rubber. Some people prefer the felt. There are probably some slight differences in sound caused by the mat, the differences in the mat. And maybe I'll get into that a little bit by changing the mat up on the turntables as I go through this. We'll see what I decide to do as I'm doing the research on this. Other similarities. The feet on this, neither one of these has adjustable feet. Now, for someone like me, or for most of us out there, we have other equipment on hand that we can use to adjust the feet. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to take some level measurements based on this particular stand that I've got it on, and see just how level it is. And if it's really close to being level, which I believe it will be, we'll see if I can't do something with the cabinet to try and get it perfectly level for the purposes of this test. And then we'll go forward from there. If you like this type of content, please, if you would, hit like and subscribe to help my little channel, grow into maybe a slightly bigger channel. Maybe someday we'll have 100 subscribers. Who knows? And let me know what you think of these turntables, if you have either one, or if you find this interesting. Maybe you have something newer. And as I go step by step through this, let me know what you think, what your comments are. I do tend to respond if I get comments. So let's move forward. Okay, so we're here to do the final assessment as I look at these two turntables, the Denon and the Pro-Ject. I have my friend Kiri here with me, who is named after the famous soprano Kiri Takanawa, whose voice is just gorgeous. This one definitely has the soprano personality. And she likes to lick my nose and my ears to make sure they're properly cleaned. Anyway, let's get on to the business of the day. Okay. First, I think I mentioned in the introduction that neither of these have adjustable feet. And you know, in this price range, it's pretty rare to get something with adjustable feet. If you do, that's a plus. Also, you don't usually get something that comes with a phono preamp. The Denon comes with a phono preamp, and this particular Pro-Ject unit came to me with this phono box preamp. It has a bunch of stuff: Pro-Ject audio systems, audio tuning, Vertreibsgesembia, I don't know. It's not in it's a little bit in English, it isn't. Has a ground there, moving coil, moving magnet, can go either way. Put that down. Rating the two, this is the power plug, the in, the out. Yeah, neither one of these are great. So just to show you, I have a late 1970s Pioneer stereo amplifier SA6700. This is a 40 watt per channel unit. It needs a little servicing, but it does the job nicely. You want to come up? It does the job nicely. The phono preamp in this is way better than the phono preamp in this or in this. So when you're looking at a budget unit, the preamp you're going to get is not that good. So if you have an integrated amplifier, I would stick with the preamp in that, unless you're using a moving coil cartridge. And I did buy a Denon 103R moving coil cartridge. So in the meantime, till I step up to something better, I will be using the moving coil setting in this, going into that, when I use that cartridge. Now, for purposes of comparison, I wanted to keep everything as close as possible so that I'm comparing as much as possible apples to apples rather than apples to oranges. The Pro-Ject came with a felt platter mat. Felt platter mat. Felt. The Pro-Ject came with a felt platter mat. This is the felt platter mat that it came with, and it was on there. The Denon came with a rubber platter mat. Just to make them the same, I put a rubber platter mat off of a Technics turntable that I have, put it on here so that the comparison is equal. I didn't use a record weight on either. The Pro-Ject comes with a 2M red Ortophone cartridge, which is roughly a $100 cartridge, and I have another 2M red. The dog likes the 2M. Actually, she likes whatever's in my right hand. See? The 2M red. This is not fully broken in. I will be honest about that, but I did put this on the Denon for points of comparison. There were very, very slight differences between the cartridge because this one is not broken in. I don't know how many hours are on this cartridge, but I'm going to say that the differences in sound were really due to the turntables rather than the cartridge, because this one supposedly had very low hours and very limited use when it came to me. I suspect that it was not ever really assembled properly because the people didn't know how and got something that was probably a much easier to assemble unit. This one is is if you get a Pro-Ject one, just go on YouTube and look up how to assemble it. It's easier to see if it's visual because you have to hang the anti-skate and you have to set up the counterweight, and it's easier to see it visually than to have it put up in instructions if you've never done it before. So that aside, the setting up of the two units, if you've got a little bit of experience, is not that hard. I don't like the hanging anti-skate weight. You have no adjustment for that really, other than putting on a different weighted unit. And so you're really stuck with that. And here's the advantage, the Denon over the Pro-Ject. If you have a 2-ounce anti-skate on that, you're stuck with a stylus and cartridge that's requiring roughly a 2-ounce weight. Now, granted, most moving magnet cartridges are going to fall between 1.8 and 2.1, 2.2 ounces for the weight requirement. The moving coil cartridge I have likes it a little bit heavier than that. But with the Pro-Ject, you're going to be in that range generally. One of the reasons I bought the Denon is I wanted the 78 speed, but I also want a unit where I can change the heads and I can put on different weights, and that would limit me. Whereas here I can adjust the anti-skate quite a bit, which does not limit me as far as the weight of the stylus and cartridge. So that's a plus in the Denon's favor. As I said, the Denon comes with a built-in preamp. If you need something with a built-in preamp, it's adequate. It's not great, but it's adequate. But then again, if you're requiring something that needs a built-in preamp, you're probably looking at something that's a lot less expensive than a $500 to $600 new unit. So, to me, in this price range, the phono preamp is not a selling point, and I'm not sure why they put it in. But maybe they might be looking at the person who down the road is looking to upgrade their other equipment around this, but right now is not at that level. In that case, this is a decent turntable at the price point, because if right now you don't have a phono preamp, but down the road you will have a unit that has a phono preamp, or you might have a separate phono preamp, this works. The Denon's advantages. Do you want to explain the Denon's advantages, or do you want me to do it for you? You want me to do it? Okay. The Denon's advantages. Turn of the knob changes the speed. To me, this is an advantage because it goes all the way up 78. Let me turn this again. 78, 45, 33, off. Didn't even see me move that knob much at all. That's easy. All right, so my age doesn't affect my ability to do other things. But here's the problem. The Pro-Ject. I was listening to Close to the Edge, and that was my that was the record I was using for comparisons, although I did listen to a few others, different genres. To change the speed, take off the platter mat. It doesn't really matter if it's rubber or felt for this. Then you take off the platter. I'm just going to hold this for a second. Now, you can see we've got the little turntable drive here that the platter sits on. We have the belt. It's a decent belt. I have no qualms with the belt. change it from 45 to 33, you move it there, and it spins. And now, when you turn it on, it's going to go 33. So, turn it on, it's at 33. Now you put it back together. Today, there are a lot of remastered albums that are coming out that are 45 RPM. And if you're going back and forth from one to the other, you're going to have to change this. You're going to take it apart. So I just listened to a 45 RPM version of Close to the Edge. That's why it was on 45. So let's say I just listened to a 33 RPM. And now I pull out a 45 RPM of a Miles Davis album. I got to take it apart again. Set it down to 45. Oh. And hope I don't do that. I just kinked the belt. There you go. Make sure you don't kink the belt, which you're not going to do generally. But I don't have too many 45s. See? So you put it up on 33, and then by hand you spin it so that the belt reaches the height, and you're good to go. You put it back together, and I'm just going to put its regular platter mat on because I'm really done playing this for a while. And you're done. For me, that's a pain in the butt. I don't want to be bothered doing that. And there are a lot of turntables now that do it. Most of the ones that do that give you access to the belt on the outside, either here or here, and have a long enough belt that it goes on the outside of the platter. That makes it a little easier. I think the newer Pro-Jects do that. Not totally sure. But again, to me, that's a negative. And also, those turntables generally only do 45, 33. These tone arms limit your capacity for changing styli and cartridges. Now, neither one of these have adjustable vertical tracking angles, which is the adjustment that raises or lowers the tone arm so that you can change the angle that the needle hits the record at. The Pro-Ject comes with the Ortophon on it, so pretty much any Ortophon is going to fit and not give you a problem. I don't know that there are too many here that are going to give you a problem. They say you can shim this. I'm not going to go to the trouble of doing that down the road when I get my Technics fully finished. It'll be on here, and it has a VTA adjustment that I can use. So I'm not worried about that here. Right now I do have an Audio-Technica Shibata stylus on here that I'm in the process of breaking in. It's got about 10 hours on it so far. And it seems to be at pretty close to the proper angle, so I'm not worried about the sound comparison. Now, I played both of these through the preamp in the Pioneer. I played both of these through the preamp in this, in the phono box. The signal coming out of the Denon, both using the Ortophon 2M Red, was stronger than the Pro-Ject. Technically, the job of the turntable is to give you the cleanest signal from... You won't come up again? She was singing. The job of the turntable is to give you the cleanest signal from the stylus to the amplifier. And I can't tell you which is cleaner because, how do you judge that? Because everything has some interference because you've got wires, you've got capacitors, you've got electronics between here and between here and the speakers, right? So by using the same equipment from this point on and all the settings being the same and untouched, you can judge what's coming to this point. And the Denon was a fuller signal. The Pro-Ject was a weaker signal. I would say the mid-range was maybe a little weaker, maybe a little bit cleaner than the Denon. That might have been a difference in the newness of the cartridge. It might not. That's hard to tell. The signal strength here was greater than the signal strength here. So in other words, this was a louder signal than this, with all the settings being the same. The quality of the signal, this one was maybe a little bit treblier, maybe a little sharper. This one was a little stronger in the mid and bass. Not a huge difference, but a little bit of a difference. And again, I can't say that that was this unit over that unit. Might have been the cartridges, might not. And here's where I'm glad I had the two platter mats as rubber, because supposedly rubber is going to give you a little bit more of that bass than a felt mat. Who knows? Use your ears to judge these things if you have turntables to compare. Overall, the dust cover lifts off. That one I just leave open when I'm playing. I don't usually close a dust cover when I'm playing unless there's a lot of dust in the air for some reason. Which one would I go with? Given the choice, my choice here, personal preference, is the Denon. The reasons are easier to change the cartridges because I've got several head shells with different cartridges. They just pop in and out, and I recalibrate the weight, which is easy to do. And I do have a digital scale to make sure that I get that proper. And that's one of the reasons why I like this. The S-shaped tone arm. It's really easy to change. A solid tone arm like that, the carbon fiber tone arm, is nice. But if I'm going to buy something with a carbon fiber, I'm going to pick a cartridge and I'm going to stick with it no matter what. And, there are a lot of people that do that. Some of us like to change cartridges, some of us don't. And there are turntables that I have that I'm perfectly happy with the cartridge and stylus that's on it. Upstairs I have a tangential tracking Bang & Olufsen that I'm perfectly happy with the cartridge that's on it, and it's good because they have proprietary technology and there are not a whole lot of options. I'm happy with that, and I have no problem with people who buy a specific turntable and a specific cartridge package. This type of a setup is perfect for that. This is for someone like me that wants to change stuff. And here I'm going to be changing back and forth from a 78 cartridge to a mono cartridge. And I'm going to want to do that, and that's what this is for. So this is where I'm going. Also, it does have the 78 setting. This does not. So I was looking for something with that 78 setting. And my Technics does not have 78. It's 3345. It's a 1972 turntable. So what do you want? Nobody was playing 78s in 72. 78s in 72. Nobody was playing 78s in 72, and nobody was playing 72s in 78, unless they were drinking a lot or using a lot of illicit drugs, in which case they don't even know what they were playing. So my vote goes to the Denon. At the price point, I think it's a really good turntable. There may be others. There are pluses and minuses for all turntables. Let me know what you like at this price point, at these respective price points. I know that there are the Pro-Ject Evo, the debut Evo Carbon Evo. Haven't seen one of those yet. And let me know if you like this type of review. If I were to do reviews of other turntables, it would have to be with older stuff because that's what I have. And I might show you some of my older turntables and see what you guys think. Let me know if you like this. If you made it this far, please hit the like and subscribe. Helps me grow the channel and lets me know what you think of this content. As you see, I have several different cartridges if you want to see a cartridge comparison. And if you want to see maybe what I have up in my living room. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what your opinion is down below. And I'm just about ready to do a show of the fallout shelter here. Things are just about fully organized. You'll see I've got this cabinet here downstairs. And right now you can hear the cat and the dog are playing. And that's always fun. Remember, in these times when things are a little crazy in the world, please be kind to each other. We share this world. We live together. Not everybody likes music, and certainly not everybody likes the same music. But if we like music and we like different music, that's okay. It gives us something fun to argue about. And if I'm arguing with you about what music I like and what music you like and I don't like, that's fun. Don't disparage each other. Don't insult each other. Music is a wonderful thing. Enjoy it. Love each other. Live kindly with each other. Be nice to each other. Enjoy the world we live in. Enjoy music. And remember, always love each other. Thank you very much.